Hello, my friends, my dear folks. Welcome back to the East-West Show. When I say back, I say this is the continuation of the one show last week with my friend Drexel Smith. He is a Rotarian, glorious Rotarian. He holds lots of important position in the humanitarianism area. And also he is an energy expert, and he was involved and is still involved as a consultant of one nuclear energy safety program. So Drexel Smith, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's always good to see you.
I feel very glad that you are here again on the same subject. It is because last time when we talked about the aid, a Rotary aid to India for its water, that Mr. Drexel Smith was involved. We were not quite done last time, and we were just at the door of touching the inside of the of such mission, right? So from there on, and we decided at the end of last show that we will tell stories, we'll pick up details from there on. So today we are here, so today we're here to continue. So, okay, what happened in India? You talk about the gravels, build the dam job, and you talk about the villagers, and in the villagers or during the visit, you have any stories, please?
Well, I think what's amazing is a couple of things. Number one, the law to encourage labor required everyone to be paid. So including the 25 volunteer Rotarians were paid local wages. So my $2 a day, I had to sign a logbook, and then we gave our money back to the project.
Okay.
But it's
on paper, you're paid $2 a day.
On paper, the truth now is I'm worth $2 a day.
Very good. What a lovely number, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, what a lovely number.
And I carried a lot of rock for my $2, you know.
But the messages were delivered successfully.
Well, it's interesting that you have a country of 1.2 billion people, and a part of the country is very progressive, very strong schools, especially in the computer arena. And there is a growing percentage of the country that is very, very prosperous. But there's another major part of the country that's not.
The poverty.
And it's just heartbreaking poverty. And I think India as a country, as it matures, is going to see some interesting social transformations of how it deals with a growing top number and a growing bottom number and limited middle class. Whereas other countries such as China, it's the middle class that's growing.
All right. Okay.
So it's interesting and will be a fascinating country to watch as it progresses, and it too will want a seat at the table as a leading country in the world.
Excellent comment. My dear audience, you remember last time we just kind of like flattered our own banner saying that there's a conflict between politically right, politically not right, or our slogans are so much. So that's why, in counter of the politically right, being politically right, we want to do things humanly right. So that's why the title of the show today is "Let's Be Humanly Right."
Well, and as I might comment, Jack, the Rotary activity in India began about 20 years ago when it was a very targeted country with polio. And polio is just such a horrible disease. As you know, polio destroys the muscles to the point that not only where children can't walk, but they end up where they can't breathe. And they end up in an iron lung that forces the lungs to work. It's an onerous, horrible, horrible disease. Today, 20, 30 years later, polio is almost completely eradicated in the world. And in the case of India, there's been no reported cases in the last couple of years. So our work there in polio is becoming almost minimum, and now it's maintenance to keep the children inoculated. Okay? Because right next door in Pakistan, and right next door to Pakistan, we have Afghanistan, are two of the three countries, Nigeria being the third, that still has reportable polio cases. And it's a disease we're trying to just eliminate from the face of the earth. So the idea of supporting the water dam projects and the school projects is sort of, as the polio activity becomes almost zero. These are other projects that Rotary is now working with the Rotarians in India to do together.
I would say this is a very, very down-to-earth issue, because you really have to care about the less fortunate, the less lucky people. They were born there with the conditions surrounding them. Poverty is always the word, and disease and the problems and the contaminated water, stuff goes on and on. Thanks to Rotary and their involvement, I would say is one of the best thing that you can see on this global earth.
Well, and I'll repeat what I shared on your show because it's noteworthy. Almost 98% of every dollar that Rotary takes in goes back out in projects. It has a very, very tiny overhead, and almost all of its overhead is being handled just on the earnings being made from the investment of donations. So it's an extremely efficient, and nobody's dipping in the bucket for big money. I shared with you before, all the Rotarians on this trip paid their entire way.
There are two folds. There are two folds of the whole thing, right? Fold number one, with the efforts involved for the past 20 years something, polio problems. Last time, according my check with your group of people, it came down to something like 96% gone, right? The remainders are being reported very rarely in countries like Pakistan, Nigeria, in the neighborhood, remote villages or something like that. Only 4%, 96% gone already. This is fold number one. Fold number two, this whole thing started from A to Z till right now, is volunteers' money, the members' money, is the out-of-pocket money. Even their trips are paid by your own pocket money. You pay your own airfare, you pay your own hotel bills, accommodations, so on and so forth. That is second fold. Okay, now, okay, if you put these two folds on a weight, on a balance, you would say with the enough money, with enough technology, disease like polio could be controlled.
Well, I think in the case of
polio, and on the other side, we're talking about the volunteer money from a philanthropic point of view. It is totally out of pocket. It is not something anybody can do.
Yeah. I think in the case of the remaining polio, Jack, it's not clear to me it's a money issue. It's an access issue. It's become a political issue. The area of East Pakistan and the west of Afghanistan is still politically unstable with tremendous fighting. And unfortunately, polio is used as a tool by the insurgents saying, don't let these people touch your children, they're harming them. They don't understand we're trying to eradicate a disease, that the only way the world can breathe easier is for it to be stamped out. And the same situation in Africa. The disease exists in areas that are simply not accessible.
Okay,
And that's
okay.
sad.
All right, okay.
Politics should take a step aside.
It is the politics involved. We do see that area. They have problems, the people's problem versus their religion, versus their certain concerns and so on and so forth. I would say that you would rather wait until they clarify a little bit before you get in. So, and the same thing happens when Rotary is involved, and the same thing happened everywhere. And everywhere they go, they make a difference. That's why they have won the respect of the entire world, including my salute. Right. So with my good friend Drexel Smith, we're having a good time reviewing the Rotary activities. One area in in the remote areas, they dealt with the water, they dealt with the dam, they dealt with the schools, and talking about all this is done in the fight going against the polio. Polio is almost down to 96% last time confirmed. Thanks to Rotary. Stay with us. We'll be right back, please. Hello, my dear friends, my dear audience. Welcome back to the discussion about Rotary action activities in India, trying to help the local unfortunate people with their water, with their schools, and with their dam with water related. So, for the purpose of fighting against the polio, they came almost to 100% successful. And with the vaccines and all the necessities provided. Yet, full number one, this is yet full number two, is that they do all this out of their own money, out of their own pocket with their own money. That is the area I give you 2 thumbs up, right? So, the villagers understand that this is a program that's supported by your own money?
Yes.
They do understand?
Yes. And we were so welcome.
How they appreciate that.
They were so welcoming to us. And they were very thankful for our involvement. And I think our involvement there was very motivating for them to be involved. So the reception that we had throughout India by the people was just marvelous.
Any stories to tell?
Not specific, Jack. I think, India is made up of over 75% of the country is connected in the Hindu religion. They're very tied to their religion. The religion historically started as a cultural society behavior set of rules and morphed into a religion as opposed to a religion moving toward society. And it, by and large, is a very peaceful religion. very introspective, very accepting, to my opinion, almost accepting of their life to the point that they have a challenge breaking out of their lifestyle. It's so accepting. Even though the Indian government has taken a position that they do not have a caste system, they really do. If you're born poor, you'll die poor. It's very hard for somebody to break out. And that's why the school program was so important, because here's 300 children that were very much part of the lowest of the poverty that are being taken out and given an opportunity to go forward. So their integration of the culture and religion is quite an interesting model. But I think I see India and people in India as a very warm, wonderful people.
How about food? I kind of worried about you guys there, 25. You eat the local food?
Yes.
Or you brought your own supplies?
Yes. No. We ate local food.
What kind of local food?
Their diet is very heavy in vegetarian and rice-based. As you know, the cow is sacred, so there's no beef in India.
They don't eat beef, do they?
No beef. Beef is, the cow is sacred in India, very sacred.
What meat they eat?
Occasionally a little chicken. Chicken is a meat that they'll eat. And we saw a little bit of mutton, a lamb, not much.
Okay, lamb, yes.
But those are the only two, and a little fish. But a very high concentration of vegetable, very spicy. It makes the Mexican food that we have in California seem mild. The Szechuan food from that part of China would be very mild.
I see.
Compared to
super spicy.
The super spicy. And a very high content of cultured food like yogurt. And I think the yogurt in their diet helps to offset the spice that tends to offset some of the contaminant. Because the purity, we only drank bottled water or something out of a
that
bottle.
exactly I was going to ask.
But even with that, we had several people on the tour suffer from the term deli belly and
diarrhea.
And yes, and had problems. One man in particular had to go to the hospital for IV fluids because he couldn't recover. I personally was very cautious of what I ate.
Okay.
Very cautious.
You're a very cautious man, after all.
No. I'm. You don't understand, Jack. There is a 25-year-old, very young man wanting to leap out of this older body.
Oh yeah. Okay.
All the time.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I'm more wild than you think.
Yeah. Okay.
But on a 2-week trip in India, I didn't want to get sick. So I was very, very cautious of what food I would have.
So you never got any problem?
I didn't have any problem, but I was, they do a flatbread similar to what you find in the Middle East.
How about the local birth control? And looking at the population, 1.2 billion already.
Well, forgive me.
Second to China.
Forgive me for saying, Jack, I did not participate.
I know, and you have nothing to do with that with them, right? But
nor did I contribute.
Yeah, I know that. But do they do birth control themselves?
Yes.
I mean abortion, for example.
I don't know the answer on abortion, but I know that condom use is very encouraged, and you will find their sale at bargain prices everywhere. So that part is being encouraged. And I know it's part of the national message, but not to the extent of other countries, certainly not to the extent of China. So you will see even in poor families that need children to be part of the farm or part of the work, continue to grow.
So they say birth control and poverty, they are heavily related to each other. One is the consequence of the other, something like that.
Well,
And
when
it
you
goes
don't
in-
have a television,
they go
you-
in, yeah.
when you don't have a TV, you engage in other activities.
Okay. Okay, I know that. And they took that for entertainment. That's what you say, right?
Well,
All right, anyway. So you didn't touch about the abortion part.
I don't know that answer.
Would that be something like down next mission down the trip? You take a bunch of abortion doctors to check about their women?
I don't think Rotary would engage in that. I think there's a moralistic attitude on that I don't know that answer for sure, but my suspicion is that I think the use of abortion for birth control is a controversial subject, and I'm not sure that the leadership of Rotary would want to engage in such a controversial area. I think there's so many areas that are needed that are non-controversial. I think it would tend to stay in that latter arena.
Very good, very good. Oh, that's fair enough. So after the 20-something days you stayed there, what happened? So they gave you a farewell party or something?
Everywhere we went, we started the event with a religious and party ceremony, from music, dance, reading a prayer, passing of incense, marking of the forehead with a red dot blessing.
They gave you the mark?
Oh yes, in every event, whether it was the schools, the dam, the polio. At the end of our days on the dam project, the women in our group were ceremonial presented with a beautiful scarf, and the men were given a turban. So I brought home a turban.
You have a turban picture yourself.
I have a picture, and
Okay.
I even brought the turban home,
Oh, the actual turban.
the actual turban.
Not just for wearing once.
No, it was a gift. It was a gift by the mayor of the city, one to each of the men, Rotarian men.
Okay.
But in answer to your question, getting to India is a long adventure from Los Angeles. The air time I flew through Dubai. So
Right.
Los Angeles to
To
Dubai,
Dubai,
16 hours.
16.
Another 3 to 4 wait to get another 4 hours to New Delhi.
Okay. That's 23 already.
And then you have almost a 14-hour time difference. So I left Thursday evening. I arrived in India on their clock Saturday morning.
Saturday morning. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
I
Saturday
left
morning.
India at 3 in the morning on a Sunday. I arrived home at noontime on the same Sunday.
Same Sunday. All right. Okay.
Yeah,
Time
but it was
difference.
still a
The
24-hour
day
travel
change,
day.
yes, hold on, okay.
And yes, I asked my wife to take me to a steak restaurant with a good California wine
Just been starved to death.
because I had not had beef in 2.5 weeks.
Nothing at all.
It was nice to have a nice beef.
Nothing's better than home, right?
Nothing's better than home.
All right. My dear audience, I'm sharing the exciting moment for his visit to India in order to help with the local people with their water, their dam, their schools. It is quite a activity sponsored by Rotary out of their members' own pocket. So this is something very great.
Jack, as
And
we
I
close
call-
this
yeah.
session, I will share a quick story at the school where these schools have been now going on. This is their 12th year.
Let's do it when we are back.
Okay.
Okay, very good. So with the loss of my respect, I still want to wrap up this segment. And when we come back, we'll start from the school stories, and there are lots of school stories, I believe. Stay with us, please. Hello, my dear friends. Welcome to the East West Show. Jack Chow is hosting. Today we're talking about how to be right. There are ways to be politically right, there are ways to be otherwise right, and there are ways to be humanly right. I am talking about on the global earth, every creature is created by God, and they are evenly supposed to be taken care of, including poor people, less fortunate people. So at Rotary International, they share the same concern as I do. And I'm with my good friend, Drexel Smith, who has just come back from an Indian trip, helping them with a huge aid, 25 members with the aid to their water, their dam, and their school programs. That worked a lot with the vaccines. Lots of kids are vaccinated, and with a huge success, we're talking about farewell party, and we're given the highest treat, right? So, and there is a school story you want to tell, please.
Yes, you asked about stories, and I will share one that the Rotary Club of Delhi has done this school program in the poverty area, dealing with children 2 to 5 years old that would have no chance. And, excuse me, as one of our final activities was a delightful young girl who gave a talk. She gave a talk
In English?
in English.
Oh, they learn English, they speak English?
She had been in the poverty. She at age 2 went to the school. She completed her studies there, and because the school gave her a legal address, allowed her to go on to public school.
Oh.
She is now in high school. And her story was that she had just completed her examinations to be accepted to college to study medicine. And it was a very heartwarming story because of the fact that here you see 300 children that are fortunate to be brought out of poverty into a school that gives them a legal address so they can qualify to go on
To go further.
to public school. And here was a success story from a young woman that had it not only done so well, she was going to be going on to university, and her pledge was to come back and provide medical support to the neighborhood she grew up in.
In other words, you're helping them, helping themselves.
Exactly.
Right, good, very good.
That completes the cycle. A
You were
very
talking- I
rewarding
noticed that you
story.
were talking about the 300 kids who were fortunate enough to be taken.
That's right.
And what is the process of selecting?
I don't
and
know.
What is the guidance of
I
choosing
feel
them?
so bad.
Yeah, about
and-
those unselected.
Yeah. As I've given this talk, that's the number one question, and I don't have an answer. It is done by not Rotary here in the U.S. It's done by
Local.
the local Rotary
Local-
and their volunteers.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know the process they use. I just don't.
You don't
No.
even know a portion. I mean, how much a portion does 300 represent among the same age kids?
Oh,
Like say
thousands. Yes. We were in the first school in a neighborhood that was full of children. Across the street was a landfill, a dump for trash that hundreds of children were playing in. And this school could only accommodate 20 children.
Oh God! Oh God! All right. Okay.
Okay.
That's the proportion.
Yeah,
That's the
so
proportion.
yeah, it's
that's the proportion.
but I
yeah.
don't know the selection process.
In other words, the majority of their kids will grow up without a school
That's right. Well, in these poor areas.
in those areas.
Yeah,
right?
because one of the criteria for them to go to public school at age 5, they have to live in a home with a legal address.
I'm pretty sure in China, in the rural areas, very remote mountain areas, you're talking about the same thing.
Could be, I don't know.
Yeah. There's no, you're talking about transportation, right? You're talking about roads. At least you have to write something to get out of the village. There's no road at all. In areas with conditions like that,
Yeah.
quite some efforts are badly needed.
So whatever the process that the local Rotarians use and the volunteer teachers, remember they do this school program providing a place, providing one meal a day, 6 days a week, and they give them a uniform to wear. They do all this with volunteers and $50 a year per child.
$50
This whole program
a
is
year
done
per
for
child.
$15,000 for 300 children
Oh,
It's
I see,
amazing.
I see. That's a
because it's done by mostly by volunteers.
yeah. I know.
Now remember, these are little children. These are age 2 to 5.
Age
But
2
the
to 5.
idea is they would just be running wild in the streets. But bringing them in the school, they get some discipline. They understand their letters and numbers. They're beginning the process to read. They understand the process of being in a school
Who are
discipline.
the teachers?
Volunteers.
The
From
local
Rotary.
local volunteers
Yes.
local Rotary
Rotary.
volunteers.
Yes.
Oh, wonderful,
Yes.
wonderful,
Yes.
wonderful.
So the idea that Rotarians from the U.S. are doing this is not correct. We were there to help and support a Rotary activity that started in India by Indian Rotarians. And we're there being helpful and help
In other
with
words,
donations.
25 of you went to India to join your fellow members.
Exactly.
Only from local Rotary
Yes,
clubs
yes,
to do what they do,
yes,
to aid what they do.
yes,
That's wonderful. That's
Yes.
even on a larger scale.
yes.
You're not sitting there waiting for somebody to fly 16, 24, 28 hours to land on your land to help you. You have already local people helping. and
Exactly.
even local volunteers.
Yeah, and the
For local
question,
volunteers, they teach for free?
yes. Yes, they're doing this whole school program, 300 children for $15,000. That's $50 a year per child.
I know.
So the food and, we came and we brought shoes for some kids and we brought backpacks and we brought things to be helpful. But this whole program is done as a volunteer issue with very, very little money. So the idea of the American coming to India to do things, we were there to be helpful. We were there to help continue an activity that was locally started.
Has Rotary tried to reach China? Or inside China, do they have Rotary?
Yes, there
Rotary
is the beginnings of a Rotary Club in China, but it's still infant. But I think in time it'll grow.
It's infant stage.
Yeah. China has their own ideas and suspicions in some regards on non-government activities, and China historically didn't always have a good experience with people from other lands coming to be helpful.
Well, yes,
They
matter of fact, we did.
they weren't always helpful.
We did. We have the missionaries,
Yeah.
Western missionaries,
Yes.
who started the whole thing, and then it is them who brought the Christian
Yeah.
to China.
And in many cases brought
In many
disease.
cases, well,
There were unfamiliar. So, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we almost destroyed the Hawaiian Islands with disease that was unfamiliar to them as we tried to be helpful. So there is suspicion about things, and rightfully so. Not every bit of help in history has been helpful.
of course. There's one American who even stood for Chinese refugees against the Japanese invaders. And they saved 250,000 lives during less than 1 week.
But again, I brag personally about the Rotary organization because I think it's pretty pure.
I'm totally I'm convinced.
It's
I'm
pretty
quite
pure.
convinced, yeah.
Again, I brag about that nobody's at the top dipping in big, giant salaries.
No.
The top is very small. It's mostly volunteer run. At the club level, district level, it's all volunteer. Nobody's paid. And you do it because you want to do something that's productive, and this is an opportunity to do something that's meaningful.
That's a way to keep purifying yourself.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
But my dear audience, I'm touched. I'm more than convinced. I would say I'm touched with the Rotarian spirit. All right. So with me is one of the glorious Rotarian, Drexel Smith. I'm learning a lot from him and his comrades for their activities in aiding the needy people. So let's take a short moment out. When we come back, we'll find out what it has anything to do with the local government. Is the local government cooperative, or how they plan to outreach even further areas, including other countries? So stay with us, please. Hello, my dear friends, my dear audiences, lovely audiences. Welcome back to the show. There are bigger things to talk about, and there are smaller things to talk about too. And especially when the smaller things are delivering bigger messages, though, I believe those are my subjects. And I picked the subject for twice. A week ago, we had this discussion, exactly the same subject, with my good friend Drexel Smith. Today is a continuation, it's a sequel, all right? It's sequel number 2 of the first discussion. Is about the Rotary aid to India, to the less fortunate, to the poor area, poor people who live by, even the luckiest ones. You mentioned about $50 per kid per year, right? Okay, all right. And they're helping them with their water problems, with their dam problems. The actual dam, and schools. And this is only fold number 1. The fold number 2 is that all these activities, including the local Rotarians' activities, are done with money out of their own pocket. So those are wonderful. Speaking of money out of the pocket of U25 and the local Rotarians, what does the government do? What do the government do? The local government, I mean.
You're talking about
money-wise.
You're asking about the local government in India.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they are extremely supportive
They are.
of the polio eradication program. It's a now public government promoted activity, and the people are encouraged by the government to participate. In terms of the other projects, I think the evidence is that in the water dam project, the mayor and the city leadership came, was very active, shook everybody's hand, was part of the welcoming ceremonies. The government, to the best of my view, assisted in the engineering for where the dam was to be and whatever permitting issues were involved. The government made that easy. So I think the government was very accepting and very happy with the local involvement. In terms of the government spending money, I don't think they have a taxing system to make money available. I mean, the infrastructure was virtually
they
non-existent.
streamlined the necessities,
Yeah.
right? All
I
the
mean,
required steps.
You know, the electrical distribution system, my goodness, Jack, looked like it was going to fall down any minute. The streets, many were unpaved. The infrastructure of the necessities of the city just didn't look like they were very much. And when you have a community that really is comprised of an awful lot of poor folk, it's hard to put in a taxing system to make things better. So, again, I think it's a long-term process to get a country that has had so much poverty into the 21st century. It's a real challenge. The good news for India is it's a reasonably well-run enterprise. We were in a community, and it was election time in that particular district. They closed every access to alcohol. Every restaurant, every bar, every store that sold a beer closed 3 days. 2 days before the election and the day of the election.
It's a temporary, like a ban.
Temporary ban. We want our people sober when they go vote.
When they go vote. All right. That makes lots of sense.
Well,
I recommend that we apply that to the United States election day.
Well, I think we need it the
I
year
would
before.
say I'll do at least 1 month before.
Yeah.
1 month prior, right?
Well, in many communities in the United States, bars were closed on election day. In many communities.
In the United States, say it again.
Yeah. In the United States for many years, bars were all closed on election day. Matter of fact, for much of the history...
Is it a tradition or is it by law?
No, it was by law. Matter of fact...
Which law? State law, federal law?
Oh, local laws.
Local law.
Yeah. And as a matter of fact, in many, many communities, even today, bars are not allowed to sell alcohol on Sunday.
On Sunday, I know.
You know?
You're facing God. You have to be sober. You don't want to lie to God.
Yeah, but then...
Because God has a lie detector.
Yeah, but many,
Right.
they part of their ceremony is to have a glass of wine. So, I don't know.
Well, they drink the red juice anyway. Okay, all right, good. Have you and your decision makers at the higher level, management level, considered about picking up a moment to make a next move to China, the remote areas?
I don't know that answer. I'm not part of that discussion. I know Rotary is interested to grow. Rotary is in 122 countries, about 1.3 million Rotarians around the world. But I'll quickly share with you, I just left a meeting yesterday on another project. Rotarians from this area, out of Arcadia, not far from here, have an exciting project of teaching entrepreneurs job creation in Nigeria. And right now they're looking at funding or developing the funding needed to send a group of teachers to universities and village leaders to help develop job creators and entrepreneurs. You've heard of the mini grant program where they can go into a village and loan money to a woman to teach her to sew, loan her the $300 to buy a sewing machine, and have her set up business of making things. And she pays that loan back with her proceeds. Those programs are highly successful. And here is a wonderful program oriented toward Nigeria. We have now trained, Rotary has trained about 20,000, I think is the number, and we're trying to grow that in countries that are truly impoverished and very oriented toward only an agriculture business to do other businesses. Another just exciting program, but it's not helping the community grow, but you've seen the children that are born with the cleft lip. Our Rotary group here has a mission to Peru coming up in May, where we will have a team of surgeons, dentists, nurses, and non-medical people, and they will spend 10 days in Peru doing the surgery for these children, all at no cost to the children.
I remember there was one time I had other group of Rotarian people here talking about the operation of the LIPCA, they have a term for craved clip or something.
Cleft flip.
Cleft, right. Lip claps or something like that. And also there's another time that I shared their views with my audiences about their aid while doing their water project. They bring the entrepreneur training program with them. What they did was that they're not only digging well, but to encourage local people to produce tools that's needed for well digging, right? So let us know something about that, please.
Well, yes. Water is a key issue because the lack of access to good potable water is what creates disease and creates a host of issues. So helping communities have access to good water is a big deal. What Rotary learned, however, is they would come in, bring a fancy motor-driven generator that would power the well. Everybody would smile and applaud. Rotary would go home.
So when they're gone,
but there was no gasoline for the motor.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. That's a good point. Okay.
All right. So all of a sudden the motor wouldn't run. Then all of a sudden somebody would steal the motor, and the pump wouldn't work, and the whole system would fail.
Okay.
So these kinds of failures, Rotary learned, it's not always about bringing in sophisticated equipment. Matter of fact, in many cases, that's not a good idea. You need to go in, you're much better off to bring in a hand pump and teach the people to pump so they have access to the water.
Okay, all right.
You're better to teach the people what to do with the water to use as agriculture.
So instead of motor pump, they're using hand pump.
You're better to have a hand pump. Don't make it complicated. So in reviewing of funding of projects, Rotary leadership now demands to say, tell me what you're going to do. Tell me how it's sustainable when you leave.
Okay, all right, okay.
You with me?
Sure.
So that's now a big part of the emphasis is the sustainability, and the educational programs that I just mentioned are a big part of that.
And the last time when the discussion talking about the well digging, they encourage the local people, make them into kind of entrepreneurs by, you know those, they do the blacksmith thing? They do that, right? So have them do the tools.
Yes.
Okay, and then they help them marketing the tools so that people can dig wells in their own backyard if they have one backyard, So using the tools.
Yes.
And then with the, how do you say, there's a vacuum pump. The vacuum pump, it creates a vacuum as you push, right? And pumps water out of the
Right.
well, and that gives them supply of clean water.
And you see what that story does, Jack, is it creates job opportunities for a variety of people in the community that they can now build some kind of a economy around themselves. And the ultimate goal would be that if they could produce something that could then be sold somewhere else. So it's just not an economy within themselves. They could trade with other villages or other countries or places around the
In
world.
other words, you're kind of teaching them to fish
Exactly.
rather than giving them a fish,
Exactly.
right, to eat.
Yes.
Of course, when it is eaten is eaten, and there's no consequences. All right, it's done is done. Okay, very good. My dear friend, I'm very interested in checking those points with my friend Drexel Smith about their programs in India, in Somalia, not Somalia, and in Nigeria. Okay, and for helping people with their clean water, trying to diminish the disease, and trying to fight polio, and school programs, the dam programs, everything is so positive that we feel that we are obligated to let people know that there are group of people on the global earth who care about the others, the needy people. And the full number two in this whole activity is that they do this not with anybody's money, but their own. They're out of pocket money. So that wins the second respect. So, my dear audience, thank you for watching this program, and we love you so much, and we'll continue to do so. And with my friend Drexel Smith, I thank you very much. Even for the same subject, I have to re-invite you to come back to re-share with the audience, because if we have time to repeat anything, we'd rather repeat you. You agree?
Listen to you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
very good. All right.